Let's see. We're gonna create our first delta table. So this is so what I'm gonna do is I have created 2 sample CSV files. Okay, it's nothing but there are 3 rows: ID, name, and age. Then I have created like what 6 or 4 or 5 records. That is the only thing that's here. And this is how you create a delta table. There are multiple ways. You'll see all of the ways. So here you should give format as delta and mode override. It could be mode override or it could be append. We already saw that in reading and writing files. And then finally save and give the path of the delta table. So in future, if you want to refer to the delta table, we need this path to refer. So the delta table will be known by the path that we are referring here.
That path is a standard path, or is it just any path it can be?
Any path, any path. I just gave. It need not be. It depends on your, as in where you want your delta table to have its files. Yeah. So it's taking take some time to start the question. So that is the
So you
first
load it.
thing.
So can I just restate this just to understand this? So you load it into a data frame, and then you'll write it into a delta table.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And here, the next step, what we're going to see is, so here, these are the list of files that will be created. So we have a delta log in, at this particular path, there will be 3 files created. First one is a delta log. Sorry, it's not a file, it's actually a folder. And this is our transaction log. So whatever we do to the table, that will be each so that will be one transaction, and that transaction will be logged inside delta log as JSON files. Okay. Then the Parquet file is we have actually converted our data frame to Parquet file and stored it in the backend. Yeah. And inside delta log, you can see we have this CRC file and JSON file. So JSON file actually contains our transformations. It gives all the information inside the transaction log for one particular transaction.
Okay.
It did write, and then it wrote it into 2 files, and then these are the parameters that it gives. So all of this will be present in here. So now we have seen what is inside this. Now this is another way to create a delta table using SQL code. So we create the table, specify the schema. So even if we don't specify the schema and we use location, and then we could do something like as, and then if we have another table, we could do select star from, and then give the new table name. That is also another way.
Sorry, that was you. So you'll say create table name using delta as. So you'll not give a location. That's what you're saying.
No, we will give a location. After location, say if you have an existing table and you need to convert that table to a delta table. In that case, you give as select star from your table. That's just another way to create a delta table. So the basic thing to understand here is delta table will be known by the path. We will see how to query delta table at a later point. So here, this is how we query a delta table. Let's see what happened here. Okay, so this is the file that I created. We have 5 records. All right. Now here I'm gonna create a new delta table.
So you can basically also create a delta table from an external table, right?
Yeah, from an external table, from anything you can create a delta table. So if you are able to convert your existing table or your existing file into a data frame, you can convert it to a delta table. Yeah. So here if you see, yeah. Okay, we have created our delta table. Now let's see what all files are present inside the delta table. Yeah, this is the delta log, and we have 2 Parquet files. So it wrote our data into 2 Parquet files. Now, before delta I gave. Now I'm gonna see what we have inside the delta log. The same thing, and then yeah, we already saw that. Next, okay,
What is
this is
that
another way of
CRC
it.
file?
CRC file is how do I say? It's not as in the metadata information and all will be present in the
Okay.
CRC file. Yeah.
So it creates two
So
files, is it
after
CRC and a JSON file?
JSON file will have all of our transformation and all the details about the particular transformation.
Okay.
So based on the CRC file, so based on the JSON file, we will be doing our data versioning and asset compliance. All of that comes because we have a JSON files that has all our transaction information.
So is it a normal best practice to always create delta tables and keep working with them, or are you just we can just you don't need to do that. You can just create uh, regular data frames, dump it into some other tables, internal tables, and be done with it. Is it usually will you just create delta tables all the time?
Yeah, based on the requirement. So if we basically, let's say if you have, how do I answer that? So if you, that is more based on the requirement, and then so the best practice is basically if you have small tables, just do the internal table for your analysis. And the
Okay.
thing with delta tables is it provides all these capabilities: asset transaction, data versioning, schema enforcement. So if you want to take advantage of that, then we have to go for delta table.
Okay. So for instance, if we were to create some people I know they create facts and dimensions in Databricks. So they'll be using those delta tables also, right? Because you need the asset transactions, you need the asset laws there to apply.
So here, this is not single inverted comma. We should be using the one, the backtick.
You can't just do select star from the delta table name that you created.
No, we haven't specified any name. Right? Everything is based on the backtick.
Oh, okay. But in
Yeah,
SQL you created, right? Create table delta, I think something you created, right? If you just go up. Oh, you just gave. Okay. I see what it is. There's no name there. Okay.
we have created a delta, but I did not create this particular table. So even
Oh, okay.
if I create this table, I could query from the table. That is fine. That will work.
So when you use PySpark, you can't give a name to that when you create it.
We can, yeah, we can give a name. So here, instead of saving, we could give, yeah. So we could give a name as instead of saving to a particular location, we could give a name as save as table. We could give, and then we could give the data name. But then Databricks will be the one managing the file. Save as table, and then we can give the table name. Yeah, but then we won't have control over the file path. So for you to answer your question, can we give a name to? Can we have the name and the path? That I need to check. I'll check, and then tomorrow session I will, or in the mail I'll send it. So we have created the delta table, and now so there are two ways. Basically, for delta table, we could do something like partitioning the delta table. So here, what by partitioning what means is the whole data we will be converting it into small chunks based on the column name that we are specifying here. It could be one column, it could be two columns. That's up to us. So based on this name, we will have two files.
Okay.
So that is what's happening here. So
So you're saying that you can basically create the underlying files. You can, if you have like 10 edges, it'll create 10 files. Is it?
No, so it works in an optimized manner. So if we create, the thing is, if we create 10 files, when we are trying to access the file, what happens is it has to go and hit 10 files. So the read and write will be more,
Okay.
because in the underlying the file system, it has to go and hit 10 files just to get one record. So basically, to see this in action, we need millions and billions of rows. Then what it does is it does the optimization, and say if we have what 1 million records with a particular age, then that 1 million records will go as one Parquet file, and the rest will go as another Parquet file. So that's what happens in the backend.
So
That is
partition
about
by basically just a way to uh, I
organize
don't know,
our
just
data inside.
organize. Okay.
Yeah. So and the thing is, say if you are querying the data, and then if you and in the where condition we are only specifying a
Putting age,
particular
it'll
age.
be better to. Okay. So it doesn't
Correct.
have
It
to,
will
at the
be
same time, it doesn't have to go through many partitions. It'll only go to that one partition and pull up the data from there.
correct. Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Then there's something called this thing, clustering. So by clustering, what happens is, let's say you have few. So inside the partition, you want to organize it more, and you want based on the alphabetical order, you want the data to be inside the file. So that when it's scanning the file, it will be easier for it to scan the file. For that, you could do before writing, you could do an order by. Then this process is called clustering. That is about clustering. So repartition is nothing but, let's say you have data in one node, that data you're giving to multiple nodes. So that is only idea. That's the idea about repartition. And this number you can change it according to your data size. It could be for it. Basically, there's no fixed way to get the optimum number. Just play around with the number and see. We should be seeing. We should find it out by trial and error. Is the optimum repartitioning number. Then, yeah. So now we have covered partitioning and clustering. What is this? Okay. So before that, let me see. So I've covered loading data into Delta table, writing data to Delta table,